Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Bonehead Collective. Before we get into this today, just to let you all know, keep you updated, that the Q&A video has been recorded. I'm currently working through editing them because they're going to be split into four different parts, four separate videos, because they were quite lengthy, admittedly. We had just over 50 questions asked, and they were split into categories, which we probably spent like a good half an hour on each category, just like getting into like just everything really. So keep an eye out for them. They should be coming out sooner than later. But today we are back on it with leaks and rumors. This isn't like my typical leak and rumor video where I just take some information and then give my opinion and spin on things, essentially. This one, we're actually on the Gaming Leaks and Rumours subreddit to a post that was made a little over a week ago, or exactly a week ago as of recording this, where apparently there's going to be a Metal Gear Solid 1 remake, and it's going to be a PSVR2 launch title. This comes from FYager58041. Titled Metal Gear Solid 1998 Remake is true and releasing as a PSVR2 launch title. So I'm going to read through this. I'll have a link to it in the post, in the description down below, so you can go through it as well if you want, but I'll just read this through real quick and then we'll go over each point in turn. Not much I can say without someone at risk, nor do I have online credibility, posting on a throwaway account. Bluepoint was originally at the helm, but is now handed off to another support studio. Sony wants this to be the next benchmark for VR games across all platforms. Can be played fully without VR as a standalone remake, one of the first examples of a AAA title that can be experienced in both VR and non-VR that PlayStation wants to accomplish. Fully interactable environments to ground the player in Metal Gear Solid. Adaptive triggers and haptic feedback will be utilised to an extreme amount. Almost every item and set piece in the game is crafted around it. Inventory system follows suits to the original game, raising your left wrist for things like medicine, cigarettes, etc., and your right wrist for weaponry. The Psycho Mantis fight is slightly revamped for a VR experience, almost identical in non-VR, but the controller port switch is scrapped. I do not know if it will be the statue solution by default or if something new is planned. Quarter 2022 reveal alongside PSVR2 and a Quarter 4 2022 release as a launch title. Again, to be transparent, there's no reason to believe anything here, but I've been told direct details from someone who is very close to the project. From what I've heard, it sounds like a new leap/standard for VR. So just like this person says, there's really no reason to believe what they're saying. When it comes to leaks and rumours, it's hit and miss, and I wouldn't say it's in favour of leaks and rumours at this point. So take everything you're about to hear or have heard so far with a grain of salt, because in my Metal Gear Solid video, one or two people got a little bit salty that I was talking about a game that's only rumoured. But, you know, it is what it is. So just to go over the first 2 points, kind of lump them together really quick, the interactable environments and how adaptive triggers and haptic feedback are going to be used, essentially. I don't know if this means that maybe you can walk up to a random set of pipes on the wall and start, like, twisting valves and pulling levers. I'm assuming it means there's going to be things like cans and stuff you can maybe throw around to distract guards. You might be able to like open and close doors on some of the tanks in the hangar at the beginning. I don't know what that means, but I suppose it would be like a nice little polish, like just little details on a game like this, but I can't imagine that they would ultimately serve a purpose to gameplay. Although one idea I have just had, and I don't know if games have utilised this before, but it could be a case of like, you're in the hangar, you've been spotted, you're now in a firefight, you run over to maybe like one of the back panels on one of the tanks and you open it up and use it as makeshift cover or something. I don't know. The adaptive triggers, I believe that's just kind of going to be like what Cold War did. I don't know if Vanguard did it. I don't have a PlayStation 5. But from my understanding of how they've done it, is each gun has a different tension on the trigger. It's a different trigger pull, different weight. So the way I imagine it is the SOCOM pistol would have a heavier trigger pull than the PSG-1, for example, because sniper rifle triggers need to be lighter, so more accuracy. When it comes to like almost every item, I imagine it'd be like you can open the carton of cigarettes and take one out. The rations, maybe you just pull the tin open, you have a spork and start gulping food down. Again, I don't know, but according to this post, at the very least, it's going to be a major part of the game in terms of just polish and small detailing. The inventory system, with how it's on your left and right wrist, does sound really interesting. The only problem I can foresee with that, unless they figured something out to get around it, is maybe when you're interacting with your environment or in a firefight, putting your hands out in front of you, trying to like interact with things, might make the game think you're looking into your menu, so you'll start getting like UI pop up, which might get a little bit frustrating. Again, if you're in a firefight and you're like blind firing around a corner or over cover, there we go. Again, you might end up with a menu in your face or selecting different weapons while you're shooting because the game is just not recognizing the input correctly. Things like night vision, thermal goggles, gas mask, I mean, that's kind of a given at this point, like, not to sound like a dick, but you've got goggles strapped to your face anyway, like with the VR headset. It's not going to be hard to just put an overlay on there. I mean, Metal Gear Solid games have been doing it. Splinter Cell does it, where you put your goggles on and the screen goes green or red or blue for Splinter Cell Chaos Theory. So, I can't imagine that's going to be hard. I suppose it'd be kind of cool to have like the measurements and readouts and all that actually in your face instead of on a screen. Again, that's just kind of a given to me at the very least. Saying here that the Psycho Mantis fight is going to have to be slightly revamped, again, that kind of makes sense because I don't think since PS3 have you been able on a PlayStation to assign a controller to a different port. So for all you youngins out there who weren't alive in the days of wired controllers, or exclusively wired controllers, in the Psycho Mantis fight you had to pull the controller out of slot 1 and plug it into slot 2 so he couldn't read your input and you could damage him. The only other way around that was to attack statues and destroy them, which would then in turn damage him. I don't know if the PlayStation 5 has like a assigned slot option on their controllers. If not, I don't know. I don't think they'd make the statue solution the default, just because, especially back in the day as well, if you weren't clued in on how to do the Psycho Mantis fight, you would have to wait for Colonel to call you in and tell you, those look suspicious. And I don't think we as gamers, especially the younger generation, kind of have that patience to wait around, getting frustrated that they can't hit this guy while he's throwing sofas at you. I'm sure at the very least for maybe the VR side of things, they've come up with like this really clever kind of method. Maybe like, oh, you have to look at him through mirrors kind of thing, like the basilisk in Harry Potter, like you don't get killed from looking at it if you see its reflection. The quarter 2022 reveal and the quarter 4 release, that's the thing I have the most trouble kind of coming to grips with. Quarter 2 is like April, May, June time, and the only reason I can see them making an announcement around then, outside of a state of play, would be around E3 time. But I don't know, like, because of how much E3's started to dip over the recent years, especially because of COVID and the online events, I can't imagine Sony would dedicate time in June during E3 to just talk about PSVR2 and Metal Gear Solid. I think it would probably be like a like how they did the PlayStation 5 reveal event. It's probably going to be a PlayStation VR reveal event, and they're going to be like, oh, here's some games you can play on it, which they can do whenever. That could happen. That's the least unlikely thing to happen. Yeah. The part I don't believe at this point and would happily like to be proven wrong on this, would be the fact that it would then release within the next 6 months after the reveal, so around October, November, December time. Because revealing it, let's say they take the most last minute amount of time to reveal the VR2 and the game. Say they pick something like June 25th. That gives them then 6 months to finish developing, go gold with, and release a remake for a piece of kit that not many people are going to be buying, because not many people have PS5s right now. At least from what I've read from this, they're not keeping it PlayStation exclusive. It's just going to have like exclusive features. So that's not going to hurt their bottom line too much. But they've got to market this thing. They've got to build up the hype, which, even though this is kind of like a really beloved franchise and it's something fans would absolutely go nuts for, Sony and Konami especially, woof, they have to realize that they don't have Kojima anymore. Bluepoint, if this rumor again is to be believed, isn't working on the remake anymore, and they had a stellar reputation in making remakes. And if this has been handed off to some other team that Konami have assembled or Sony has demanded be assembled, if they don't understand what made Metal Gear Solid 1 so special, it's going to be just a graphic overhaul with some new bells and whistles, which it will be anyway, but it will lose a lot of the charm that made Metal Gear Solid 1 so great. So I think they would be probably best off maybe pushing it for like a Q2 2023 release. I know that's going to like make a lot of people unhappy hearing me say that, but only giving yourself 6 months to market, finalize, and then sell your game, you're going to end up with like another Battlefield 2042 situation. You're going to end up with another Cyberpunk situation where promises are made, features are shown off, and the overall experience is just a dud, which is not something people want. Especially me. Like, I've been harping on about either a new Metal Gear Solid entry or a remake for much longer than I've had this channel up. Like, this channel's like 2 years old now. Well, 2 years from when I actually started uploading. But I've been wanting a Metal Gear Solid game ever since I finished Metal Gear Solid 5 and was thoroughly disappointed with that game. We're just going to have to wait and see what goes on with it. Once again, and I can only say this so many times, these are just leaks and rumours. That's, well, leaks, more rumour than leak, about a maybe game, something that's not guaranteed, something that this person, we really only have their word to go on, and they say themselves they're not really a credible source. But I'll keep an ear out. I'm looking at new Metal Gear Solid news almost every day, and I don't know how this slipped by my radar. I guess I wasn't looking hard enough. But I suppose it kind of fits with the theme, really. Like, I'm looking for news about a stealth genre game, and I couldn't find it, so I guess that means it did its job. But let me know what you think. If this should be on PS2 VR, if it should be PlayStation exclusive, if you want the remake, or if you want a new entry, what kind of features and quality of life improvements you want in these remakes. Let me know down below. If you like the video and you want to see more, or if you have anything you want to suggest, hit me up in the comments down below, like and subscribe. And until next time, I will see you in the next video. Bye!